I kind of own this guy by the name of Wally Zerbiak. He's a former NFL, NBA basketball player. He does Nick games now for MSG, and he's a great golfer himself. And he and I were up at Cabot up in Nova Scotia. We were playing for some pretty heavy-duty money, and all I can tell you is that after I basically just whistled the 4-iron 225 yards onto a par 3, he looked at me and he said, "Why am I giving you effing strokes?" And I said, "So I can win effing money, that's why."
Welcome into the Vanity Index podcast. It's powered by JLab. Golf sickos everywhere, rejoice, we are back.
Hey, Wells.
We've got an amazing show. I'm very excited about our guest today in Boomer Esiason.
It's really as a child of the 80s myself, and a former football player, Boomer Esiason is real legendary status. This was my era of learning to love the NFL, and come to find out, Boomer, real golf sicko. So,
oh yeah, super excited about this episode. Yeah, you guys filmed something with him and his buddy, right, for Skratch, and we're releasing it today.
Yeah, it's coming out today. So we this is interesting. So the GM who runs our sort of media business, this guy Rob DiChiaro, he is friends with Gio, who is Boomer's partner on Boomer and Gio. They got to know each other, and I guess Gio's become obsessed with golf. So Rob reached out and said, "Hey, why don't we go do a trip together?" And ended up setting it all up at Pebble Beach. We took them out, and they played a match against two of the Skratch employees. And we filmed it about a month ago, but Pebble just rolled out the red carpet. They got perfect weather. It was awesome. So it's a really fun video. It's out live today, so you got to check it out. And obviously we got Boomer on the show today to talk a little bit about that and his kind of history with golf.
It's going to be fun to talk to him because I was looking through his social media, and he recently played the Black course, Bethpage, and so I'm going to be interested to hear his thoughts on what it's going to look like out there for the Americans and the Europeans, what he thinks as a leader of men on the gridiron, how it's going to go out there. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm excited to talk with him.
Yeah, we're in kind of peak Ryder Cup prep moment right now. It's kind of in that perfect in between period where you've got the Americans playing together in Napa, you've got the Europeans all playing together at the BMW at Wentworth. The teams are starting to gel a little bit. You're starting to hear the hype. Maybe you're going to be seeing some shit talking starting to come pretty soon. Rory, I think, laid the little opening shot across the bow of the USA team post Walker Cup after his win in Ireland. So I cannot wait. We got some fun stuff coming, by the way. Speaking of announcements, so Skratch is hosting a huge event in New York City. We announced it a couple weeks ago. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're around New York, Friday of Ryder Cup week. I believe it's the 26th of September. We're going to be doing this thing called the Skratch Clubhouse. We've got a bunch of creators coming in. We've got a bunch of really cool golf brands that you can usually only find on the internet. You're going to be able to hold it, touch it. We've got a simulator. We've got chipping games. We've got Titleist coming out to do giveaways and bring some people out. So we're doing this thing. It's called the Skratch Clubhouse. It's at the Lawn Club, South Street, Seaport, all day Friday, starting at 7:30 a.m. until dark. So come get some free drinks. We'll be pouring free alcohol and giving away some free food, bunch of giveaways, bunch of meet and greets. You and I might be there potentially doing a little recording. So if you're in the city and you can't make it out to Bethpage on Friday, come and see us down at the Skratch Clubhouse.
As we inch towards the Ryder Cup, I think that we need to talk a little bit about what Rory did at the Irish Open, which was very fun to see. I don't know if you were watching it, but he sinks a 40-foot eagle putt on 18 to make a playoff and then goes on to win. Obviously, Scottie had one of the most iconic years again this year, but it does seem like we are kind of marching towards this battle between Rory and Scottie.
Yeah, it was interesting. We've had that payoff before. This year we got the Bryson versus Rory matchup Saturday at Augusta this year. That was something that people have been waiting on since the US Open at Pinehurst. We haven't really had a full flight duel between Rory and Scottie yet, which I'm really excited to see. Both of them in full flight. I have to imagine they're going to be playing against each other in that Sunday singles match. I mean, how would you not put those two against each other? It's going to be electric, for the Ryder Cup. One thing, just my note on the Rory thing, I think that's interesting. So you look at his season; he's had 4 wins. The Players, Pebble, obviously signature event, the Masters, and now the Irish Open. And one thing that Rory's really made an effort to do is play more of these national opens. And I think we're kind of, we talked about this on the show before about golf getting more international and different, the idea of maybe having a major in South America or and my premise was that the Olympics is kind of that now. It's sort of the new, it's, I think, kind of a major. But one thing that Rory's really made an effort to do is try to elevate some of these national opens. So he's obviously played in the Irish Open several times, his second time winning it. He's kind of made an effort to play in the Canadian Open, which he's won as well. There's obviously the Scottish Open, which is kind of more like a PGA Tour event still, but he's won that. We've got he's playing the Australian Open this year, which has always been a classic, one of golf's great championships, and has maybe been a little bit diminished over the past few years. A lot of those players have started playing in the U.S., but I think it's awesome that Rory's going there. He's going to play the Indian Open this fall. So I think, Rory, through his actions, are trying to kind of elevate these national opens again and build this kind of international cachet around some of these bigger events. And I think, he's kind of betting on, if he goes and plays, that maybe some of these other guys will go and make some of an effort to play in these national opens. And I actually think concurrently, you saw a really interesting announcement from Augusta in terms of changing some of the qualifying rules for the Masters. And they announced that the winners of, I think it was like 8 or 6 national opens, are now going to be in a category for exemptions into the Masters. So historically, it's been, the LATAM, the LATAM championship that they do. There's like a Asia Pacific Amateur gets qualified. There's obviously the U.S. Amateur, both the winner and the runner-up get invites into the Masters, the Mid-Am champion. Like, there's a bunch of these qualifiers that get you into the Masters, and now them expanding that to the national opens. I think just Augusta's always been so forward-thinking about how to use that tournament to help grow the game in places where it maybe needs some focus. And I love this kind of combination between probably the most interesting organization in golf in the Masters and the Augusta National, and then now probably its top player, or at least biggest superstar, and Rory McIlroy, kind of saying, hey, national opens matter, especially as the PGA Tour under its new leadership with Brian Rollep's is going to be focusing on its product. I like this idea of like a resurgence for national opens. I think it's really exciting. So good on Rory.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job being a steward for golf moving forward, kind of doing the thing that Liv says they're doing, but I think Rory is actually maybe doing a better job of it because he's a bigger star. When it comes to, Rory and Scottie's years, I don't think anyone would disagree with saying that Scottie had the best year, but how close was Rory this year with, it's harder for him. I think it's harder to get the Grand Slam than it is maybe for Scottie to win 2 majors, I guess is how I'm trying to justify. Is it close or not really?
I listen, I think Scottie, just on paper, definitely a better year. I think Rory, in terms of the difficulty, and overcoming a 10-year deficit to get back in the winner's circle at the one place where he's had the most scar tissue at the Augusta National, I feel like you kind of have to tip it to Rory. He also had like a weird, he had kind of like a couple months in the wilderness post Masters because he was just obviously such a release and so like, I don't know if I would ever say he's like lacked motivation, obviously, but I think he was enjoying and celebrating kind of finally getting it done and completing the Grand Slam. I think it just, again, kind of points to like how great of a place that golf's in right now, where you've got an international superstar, you've got a U.S. superstar, you've got a Ryder Cup in New York I think this will end up being one of the biggest kind of golf events maybe ever in terms of just like mass interest. You've got golf like ratings way up. So I think it's kind of unfair to try to judge like who had the better season. I think both of them had a great year, and I love that, our superstars are showing up. So I can't wait for that Sunday singles matchup. Hopefully we get to see Rory versus Scottie. And then, we got another season. It's like right around the corner. We're going to be revving back up again. We'll be sitting here talking about Pebble Beach and talking about, the West Coast swing and kind of like, I don't know, we'll be blinking 200 days from now, 180 days from now, will be the Masters again. So here we go.
Oh, God, I love it. Okay, time right now for our segment, Can't Knock It, brought to you by Knockaround. Maybe this is a Can Knock It, actually. Proud partner of the Vanity Index podcast. These guys make seriously awesome shades. Let me put on some right now. And they're the official eyewear of the PGA Tour. I love these. Chad and I went wing shooting the other day, and I was wearing my Knockaround, so they're great if you're bird hunting. They're great if you're birdie hunting.
Ooh.
You like that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. They also make a wide selection of performance shades designed to heighten contrast and help with definition and actually help you see the greens more clearly. It's wild how much detail you can pick up.
If you want to try a pair, head over to knockaround.com/golf and use the code VanityIndex20 for 20% off your first order. Again, that's VanityIndex20 for 20% off. Some exclusions apply, but definitely worth checking out. I mean, honestly, I've been wearing these a lot. Like, I have a bunch of these now, and it's nice because they're not crazy expensive, but the quality is really good and they look good. And so I don't feel bad about just kind of throwing them on or I was with the kids in the pool. So we were wing shooting.
Yeah.
We've been birdie hunting, but also just like jumping in the pool with some shades on. I'm not too worried about it. And I'm very impressed. So Knockaround, give it a look.
Okay, so this is going to be more of a can knock it. This is the top golf douchebag moves. I saw that Zaire threw this out, and they ranked them, but I thought we would do a blind ranking with you.
Let's do it.
On the top golf douchebag moves. We'll start with the club twirl after bombing a drive.
So we're basically, just to understand the rules here. So number one would be the douchiest.
The douchiest.
Right.
Yes.
And 10 is the least douchey.
Yeah.
Okay, so club twirl after bomb and a drive to me is like a 10. That's 10. I think that's... Uh-oh, wow. Sorry. He's alarm bell here.
You're right.
You're right, Chad. I think if you bomb a drive, you stripe a drive right down the middle of the fairway, you're allowed to club twirl. I think club twirling, if you don't hit a good shot, because you're just used to club twirling, that's edging into douchebag territory. But I'm going to say 10 because if you bomb a drive, man, you can twirl away.
You've earned that right.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about the club twirl that is ironic? I feel like Justin Thomas does this a lot.
He's really good at the ironic club twirl, which I would say is that's a top 10 ironic golf move. Like, hit a bad shot. It's like Scottie. I've seen Scottie do this too with putts, like walk it in when he clearly missed, which is pretty good. I've seen some like missed putt fist pumps, which is always enjoyable. So, I'm going to say the club twirl is a 10. You've earned it. I don't think that's a douchey move.
Okay, the next one, walking in a putt.
Walking in a putt. God, see, again, I think this is like, I'm going to give this like an 8 because I feel like, one, if you're in a match and you see that thing going right in the middle of the cup, like you can walk that in. Come on, take a few steps.
Yeah.
You're trying to get it so you can get to the next tee and put some pressure on put the pressure on your playing competitor. I think this maybe edges into douchier territory if you're just playing like stroke play. If you're not playing a match, you're just kind of having a casual fun round with friends and you're walking in putts, like, okay, maybe that's a little hardo. But if you're playing a match, fair game, number 8.
I think it depends on the distance of the putt. Like if it's a 40-foot, snake and you walk it in, a lot of times you're walking just to like get behind it to see how it's tracking and stuff.
Yeah.
I think, if it's a 2-footer and you're walking it in, like, dude,
I think the walk in, like 40 foot, that's like too far to walk it in because you're not sure anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's like 15 feet's the peak walk in distance because it's like, you think you might make it, you get it out, start on the right line, you're going to start walking. 3 feet, inside of 6 feet, that's douchebag territory. 40 feet, it's like, I don't even know if you count that as walking in because you're just trying to see it. You're like, I can't even, you're squinting.
Pace up.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get your ball. But 15 feet, I think, is peak walk-in range for edging into douchey territory. But I'm gonna stick with my guns on this. This is number 8.
Speaking of guns, using a rangefinder on a par 4 tee box.
Again, I maybe am the wrong person to ask this because all these are things that I do. So I think,
what are we learning about you, Chad?
Oh no! Well, listen, if it's a drivable par 4, you want to get a number, and you're trying to decide, it's 300 carry, and you're thinking 3-wood, maybe driver, mini driver, is it downwind, is it into the wind? I think that's fair game. But pulling out a random par 4 that's not really reachable, especially if if the longest drive you hit all day is 225 yards and it's a 300-yard drivable par 3 or drivable par 4. Yeah, I think that's douchey. I'm gonna put that at number 5, right in the middle.
Yeah, I wonder if the question really should be doing it on a par 5, where like, of course you're hitting driver. What are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
But I got if you have Listen, the way that they set up these courses, right, from the tees that usually I play at, there's always a bunker around 260, which is my carry number, you know? So I want to know that number to be like, maybe I should go back to 3-wood or whatever.
I think, yeah, I guess we can caveat this and say it's only douchey if it's not a drivable par 4.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a bunker. Okay, fine, there's a bunker, but come on, like just hit it in the fairway. If it's a drivable par 4, I think it's slightly excusable depending on how you've been hitting it. So I'm going to stick with my guns on 5.
Okay. Next one, being unsatisfied with an approach shot that's 3 feet from the pin.
Oh, this is peak douche. This is 2 for me. You know, this is like the Hideki move. I feel like Hideki's famous for this.
Yeah.
You know, like almost like dropping a club or one-handed finish, and it's like 4 feet away.
Yeah.
He's just mad that he didn't hit it good. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're playing with like a normal people and you stick one close and you're upset, that's a douchey move.
Next one, saying that you pulled or pushed your drive even though it's in the fairway.
I'm going to go with number 3 on this because, like, why are you commentating on your drive if it's in the fairway? You know, like if you're aiming at the left side and you push it a little bit and it's on the right side, oh, I really pushed that one. It's like, okay, bro, come on. Come on.
I do this a lot, but I do it like in jest. So I don't know, because someone would be like, good drive, I'm like a little off the heel, but like I'm joking about it because it is great.
Yeah, no. That's I'm gonna stick. What did I say? That was 3?
Yeah, you said 3.
Yeah, 3. Okay, so I got 1, I got 4, I got 6, and I got a few left. Okay, let's keep going. Keep going.
The next one, this one is kind of similar. Saying you hit it off the toe after a 330-yard drive.
This is gotta be number 1 for me, I think. Like, if you hit one 330 in the air and you're complaining about the strike, like, you need to chill out a little bit. That is, like, because most people can't hit it 300 yards, like, once. I mean, maybe you hit a cart path or it's straight downwind. Like, 330 is bombs territory. Yeah. And honestly, sometimes you hit it on the toe, you get a little less spin, you get a little more roll, you might actually get a little more yardage out of it. And so, don't complain. You hit it over 300 yards, like you better shut up, honestly.
Next one, wearing long pants while you're playing in the heat as if you're some sort of tour player.
Okay, well, as the high school golfer who used to only wear pants, even in Georgia when it was hot. Yeah, no, I was doing that long before Scottie Scheffler. I'm gonna put this one like in the 6th category. I think it's gonna be 6th because it's like if it's hot outside and you don't have to wear pants, like you're not playing at a club that requires it. Like in LA, we've got Bel Air and LACC require pants. That I think is if it's hot outside and you're wearing pants, like you're not a tour pro. Even if you are a tour pro, those guys are wearing shorts, like 100%. So yeah, I'm gonna say 6.
Asking someone what their handicap is within 3 minutes of meeting them.
This is pretty douchey.
Yeah.
What's my lows that I have left? Do I have 1 and 2? Do I have 3?
You got 1, 2, 3. You don't have 4.
This is 4. This is 4. Yeah, no, this is like very obnoxious, especially if as a person who's been, on the lower side of a handicap for a long time. If you meet somebody and the first thing they do is start asking you what your handicap is, one that's not like I think like amongst like diehard players that play a lot of golf, it's not a thing that comes up. This seems kind of like a little bit of like an amateur kind of hacky move. Like you meet someone, oh, you like golf? What's your handicap? Like it's
Chad,
like
I have to remind you, this is usually the first question that we ask our guests.
Yeah, but this is a show called the Vanity Index Podcast. This is more about understanding our guest.
Yeah.
But if you're just meeting somebody, say you're at a party or your wife introduces you to one of her friends' husbands and you play golf? Oh, yeah. What's your handicap? It's like the first thing I do. No, the first thing's going to be where you play golf. What's, where do you like to, when was the last time you played? You want to, whatever. It's just, what's your handicap just feels like, hey, it's a dick measuring contest out of the gate.
I get this one a lot, which I'm not sure how I should answer it. But when I tell someone or my wife's like, well, he likes to play golf, it's usually always, well, are you good?
Yeah.
And I have to be like, yeah.
Yeah, that one I think is a little more fair.
Yeah.
If it's like not a golfer. I think if you're like, I can imagine what's your handicap coming from someone who's maybe picked up the game in the last few years. They're like obsessed with competition and, oh, what's your handicap, bro? Like, are we going to go play? But most people who are serious, I feel like, are not asking this question.
All right, two left. Complaining that your approach shots are getting too much backspin.
Okay, wait. So which numbers do I have?
You've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7 and 9.
7 and 9. Okay. Too much backspin. Okay, well, I don't want to ruin this. I'm going to say this is 7. I would maybe say this one gets a little higher on the ranking, but I've spun them back a little too much occasionally. It is frustrating.
Yeah.
It's too much spin, and everybody rolls their eyes at me. So maybe this one deserves to be ranked a little higher. But since I only got 7 left and now 9, I think I'm going to put it at 7.
All right,
last one. We know where it's going.
Going in the 9 slots, saying this is a birdie hole frequently.
Well, it is. Listen, the pin's gettable. You got the wall of wind. It's wide open, man. It's a birdie hole. I think this one's. I like this at 9. I think if you're a player who's thinking about making birdies, man, you're gonna get a couple birdie holes.
Yeah,
and you could say it ironically, but I think this one. Yeah, this is kind of douchey, but again, if you're gonna make some birdies, I think it's fair game. Yeah, I think all this is a little bit of how good are you?
Yeah.
A 10 handicap running
You're
out
just
there.
trying to justify this
I am
for
trying to
yourself.
justify. I've said this before. It's a birdie hole. I mean, sometimes I'll be playing with partner. Yeah, this is a good birdie hole. It's, this is pretty open. I don't know. This is douchey, I guess.
All right,
It's number 9.
Yeah.
All right.
Golf douchebag moves. I think that's a pretty good list. Before we talk about our next segment, I want to talk about what we're going to be talking about with our next segment, which is the Walker Cup. I don't know if you got to watch any of it. I'm not sure if it's something that's on your radar as someone who's just filming the PGA all the time.
Okay, come on.
But it happening at Cypress Point, I think, is really special and very cool. Just overall arching thoughts on the Walker Cup, U.S. winning at arguably one of the best golf courses in the world.
Well, we had Colt obviously on the show talking about his experience in the Walker Cup, and I love the Walker Cup. By the way, did you see George W. Bush's quote about the Walker Cup being named after I think it was his great grandfather?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, he paid for the trophy, so they named the whole deal after him. And I'm like, he's still got his fastball, man. George just got his fastball. Anyway, so I love the Walker Cup. I think the USGA and the I guess is it the RNA who does it for the
Surely?
GBNI team, whatever it is. They do an awesome job of putting this event at the greatest golf courses in the world. And I think that's one of the things that makes it super cool. I mean, they've done it at Pine Valley, now at Cypress. They're going to be at Oakmont. Mm-hmm. They're going to be, I think, at
Bandon Dunes soon.
Bandon, Lahinch.
Yep.
It's so cool because it doesn't require a giant build out. You can do it at some of these courses that are more private that you never get to see it. So for just a casual fan, it gets a chance to kind of take a look at some of the greatest cathedrals for golf, and to do it in a team atmosphere with non-superstars. These are college kids for the most part, and then mid-amps like Stuart Hagestad. I love the Walker Cup. I watched it. It was beautiful to see Cypress just showing off, with those drone shots and also just how firm that course plays. It was awesome. So and Cypress, I think, it doesn't get knocked. I mean, it's the number 2 rated course in the world, and certainly could, I think, make the argument for being the most spectacular golf course, hands down in the world. But it's pretty short, and so it's would it get destroyed by a modern power player? And I think the Walker Cup's a perfect environment for something like that because it's match play. So it doesn't matter if the winning team shoots 12 under par because it's just, they win one up. And so I think a birdie fest at Cypress is super fun to watch. And, every single time I turn the TV on and see clips, it looked amazing. The other thing shout out to the USGA for doing an amazing job on social media. Mm-hmm. During the warm up, they were doing every single shot, almost these YouTube style clips with the tracer. They do every single shot from a match for almost every single group. And it was just wham, bam, 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 shot tracers on these epic holes. It was awesome. So, shout out USGA for I think crushing the social media for the Walker Cup.
Yeah, it was very fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think that also with technology changing, the advent of being able to have all these drones in the air to really showcase what these holes are, I think is very, very cool and really brought you to the Monterey Peninsula.
Totally.
My only question to you is, do you think they should go the same way of the Ryder Cup and turn it into all of Europe gets to play against? Because it does seem like the American team is far and away better than the GBI.
Yeah, I think that's probably something I have to imagine that's a conversation that they're having.
Yeah.
Because especially now with the efforts that the Nordic countries have made in sort of golf development programs, which has led to guys like Victor Hovland and Ludwig Oberg and the Hogard twins. Like, you'd want to see the Nordic countries there. You'd want to see
Spain, France,
yeah, Italy. Like, there's so much talent now in global golf. I think, it'd be great to see them expand it to all of Europe. I have to imagine that's part of the conversation as this thing continues to develop.
Easy segue into Cypress. It's time right now for our segment Overheard from JLab. From the lab to the course, JLab is trusted by the pros with gear engineered in the lab, built for every practice, every flight, and every moment you need to lock in.
Yeah, I've been using the Bluetooth headphones in the office these days, and absolutely love them. JLab delivers headphones, earbuds, and Bluetooth speakers designed for life and respecting your budget. Look for the blue box at retailers everywhere or shop JLab.com. Thank you to JLab for supporting this podcast. So we're gonna do a little Overheard presented by JLab, keeping on the theme of Cypress Point. Why don't you set this one up, Wells?
Well, yeah, this is making the rounds on social media, and it's kind of like the Cypress Point rules of going to the club, which I think is great that they have this, because you need to know how to act when you go to these places, I think. But people are getting people are giving this a lot of hate for being like really stuffy. And so I thought we would just go through it and see what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think this card that we're looking at here, the kind of Welcome to Cypress Point guest rules, I believe this is for unaccompanied rounds only.
It is.
So one of the main ones is you're not allowed to use the driving range, but I believe if you play as a guest of a member, you are allowed to hit balls on the range.
I've never not hit on the driving range.
Yeah,
but I've only ever gone with
a member.
Members. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but okay, let's start.
Okay. So because you are a guest of a member, we want you to enjoy a memorable golf experience. To ensure a full measure of enjoyment, we suggest the following. First one, use of cell phones. PDAs or any other electronic devices is not permitted anywhere on club property other than in your vehicle. Cameras are permitted for private use.
First off, love the reference to PDAs.
Yeah.
Haven't heard about that in 25 years.
Is that like a Palm Pilot?
Yeah, Palm Pilots.
Okay.
No Palm Pilots out there. That kind of reminds me of being at a SFGC and them having the 94 yellow pages in the phone room in the locker room. Yeah, I mean, I think you're at one of the cathedrals of golf. You're not supposed to have your phones out. And I like this. There's something really nice to just putting your phone away for a round and being able to like absorb the actual experience of playing, especially at a place like Cypress, which is just like such a journey as you make your way through start in the kind of dunes as you make your way into the forest, then up into the sand dunes, and then out finally into the coast. It's something you don't want to be like intermediating yourself through your phone. So I like this a lot.
I want to ask you a question about taking pictures at Cypress or Pine Valley or Augusta. You can't even do it, I assume.
Right, yeah.
But you can at Cypress. You can take pictures. You take pictures on 15, take pictures on 16, do videos.
Yep.
I posted a video the last time I played there, and our friend of the show, Chris Harrison, sent back a message being like, "Don't post this, dude. Act like you've been there before. This is egregious." Do you think it's okay to post? Because, by the way, I went on our Instagram and I put this out while the Walker Cup was going on of like me hitting a shot on 15.
I think, look, if it's your first time playing, I think it's fair game for sure. I think if you've played it multiple times and you kind of are a guest in good standing, you probably want to like leave that off of social media.
Fair enough.
But again, like most people will only, if they ever get to play it, maybe only get to play it once. And I think, yeah, absolutely. You get a chance to post that video. I would definitely post it. The other thing too, so interestingly, like there are little subtle rules at some of these clubs. Like, to give an example, like Chicago Golf Club, like you can't have your phones there at Chicago. You can't even have like a rangefinder or a GPS or anything like that. But there's also rules about like gambling. So you're not supposed to gamble more than like $1. It's like a $2 Nassau. Pine Valley is another one where it's okay to take videos and they're okay with you having your phones, not in like the clubhouse, but out on the course and taking videos. But you're not supposed to be like gambling, or if you are, I mean, you gamble a lot at Pine Valley, but you're not really supposed to talk about the money, which I thought was kind of interesting,
right? Or something like that.
Yeah. Units or sort of the game, but you're never supposed to say like the dollar amount. So if you're playing for $100 a hole, you could just be like, that's 2 units, it's sort of interesting. And that's a thing that I've like found is definitely a kind of, you have to ask the member if you're gambling. I mean, you're like me and you're a sicko and you're playing gambling games kind of everywhere you go. That was kind of a surprising rule to me. It's just like, hey, don't talk about the wagers like in front of the staff or the caddies. Keep it on the DL, and we'll just talk about units, which I thought was kind of interesting.
That's some rich people stuff to gamble for like quarters and dollars.
Yeah, that is
elite.
That
level.
is. Yeah, we're playing for quarters.
You just kind of mentioned it. This one's interesting. Rangefinders, including Garmin's, are not permitted on the golf course.
Yeah, so this one is interesting because I think you're always playing with a caddy in this situation. So they want you using the caddy. They want the caddy. They want you to experience the golf as kind of pure as you can get. I never really understood this rule. And like I mentioned, Chicago Golf Club, like they don't let you have rangefinders either. I don't know. I think rangefinders, it doesn't take me out of golf. It doesn't make it feel more high tech. If anything, it speeds up play.
Yeah.
So, I'm never going to knock like a rule at Cypress, but I get why people might feel like that's kind of stuffy, but you do have a caddy. So if you didn't have a caddy, that's a different story, but you'll have a caddy. So you should trust your caddy. They're going to tell you what to hit.
I mean, I play with the watch. I like to use the watch because I like to just double check what the caddy's saying.
Totally.
Right. But whatever.
Yeah, can't trust people. Wells.
Unaccompanied guest limit is limited to 18 holes in one day.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair
of course,
enough.
It makes sense. Yeah, you're lucky enough to be unaccompanied at Cypress. I think if you finish around, you're like, let's go back for another loop. It's probably a little aggressive.
The use of the driving range or the clubhouse facilities is for members only.
Yeah, so as we said, I can't recall not hitting balls there before. I've definitely like warmed up at the range, but I've been a guest. The clubhouse is interesting because I've never really you don't really have access to the clubhouse. That is kind of like
you
a
haven't
members
eaten in
only
there.
thing. I've only eaten in there at like this event that I've gone to. That's kind of I think the one time that you're allowed to eat there. But never playing there. I've never gotten to eat there. I've gone to the locker room. There's that, but it's mainly the locker room, the pro shop, and then you're on the box. So yeah, interesting.
All right, please use the locker room to change your shoes so that you can go in there, which is nice. And there's a lot of cool memorabilia on the wall.
Yeah, and there's always like a wood fire burning in that locker room, so it always kind of smells like a campfire in there, like in a really nice, subtle way. It is a really nice locker room and old school in a great way. And yeah, I mean, don't change your shoes in the parking lot. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Cypress Point.
Appropriate attire for men: long trousers with long or short sleeve collared, sport shirts for ladies, slacks, and appropriate tops with sleeves, skirts, shorts, denim jeans, warm-up suits, yoga pants, or tights are not appropriate on club property.
So this one, like a pants rule. We talked about Bel Air and we talked about LACC and some of these pants only clubs. Cypress is one of those where it really makes sense because it's never hot.
Yeah, it's always cold.
It's always cold. You're on the ocean, especially if you're teeing up in the morning. It's probably going to be there's probably going to be a marine layer. It's going to be, and there's a reason why they have a fireplace, burning a wood fire even in the summer. So this one I think is really one of the places where you never mind wearing pants, and I can't imagine ever like being that warm-blooded that you would wear shorts in like 55-degree overcast kind of damp weather. So
yeah, I mean, I played out there a number of times, and I've never not been wearing like a cashmere pullover as well. Like
totally,
it's always chilly.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like Bel Air is a good example of a place here that is pants only, and it's so hot in LA that I'm like, this is dumb. I think this is a dumb rule.
Yeah, no, and it can be. I mean, I think it was like over 100 degrees in LA last weekend, and a couple of my friends were out playing at Bel Air, and they were like, "Yeah, we're just sweating."
Yeah.
But yeah, Cypress. No, you're gonna want pants. You're probably gonna need a pullover or a quarter zip or a sweater.
Yeah, and you're probably gonna spend a lot of money in that clubhouse.
Yes, you are.
Please yield to members' play if requested.
I think this is a great rule in general. Like yield anyway, right? Like we've talked about my fear of holding up people. Mm-hmm. I hate being pushed. And so I'm the guy who's constantly like, should we let him through? Should we let him through? Should we let him through? I don't want to feel like I'm rushed. And if I feel like we're holding people up, I start stressing out. I start worrying about them. So I'm always like play through. This is just common sense. If you're being pushed anyway, yield, let people play through. But especially if you're unaccompanied at Cypress, please let the members play through. That's smart.
This one's interesting. Please arrive at the clubhouse between 7 and 7:15 a.m. and complete your round within 4 hours or less.
Yeah.
So for unaccompanied guests, they must say the window to play is really, really early.
Yeah. So it's 7 to 7:15. That's kind of when the course first opens. That's one of the coolest things about Cypress is if you can play unaccompanied if a member vouches for you.
Yep.
And they do like leave that spot open for 7 to 7:15, which is so awesome that you get to kind of experience it first light, like be out there playing one of the greatest golf courses in the world. It's so awesome that the club does this.
Have you played unaccompanied there?
No.
Okay. I haven't either, but I know what it costs compared to playing with a member. is wild.
Is it?
I'll say this. From what I remember, playing with a member is $50 guest fees.
Oh, wow.
And then unaccompanied is not
More than that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, given like how much greens fees have gone up around and how it's $750 to play the TPC Sawgrass, like, you know, it's similar Pebble, like whatever it costs, worth it.
For sure.
Like, you know, I'd pay easily like $1,500 to play Cypress.
Well, to be honest with you, if you are unaccompanied, it's similar to what Pebble is right down the street, just so you know.
But I mean, I would pay double for Cypress.
For
it's
sure.
It's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caddies customarily receive at least $175 per bag, including tip paid directly to the caddy.
Yes, this is interesting because we've talked about this. I think on our first ever show, we talked about caddy tipping policy, and this is something you got to ask the member about. And I actually really appreciate that the club publishes this because, you know, like I've played courses where $100 is normal and fine, and you just kind of $100 caddy. You know, our club used to kind of be $100 for a loop. Now it's more, you know, sort of tip. It's kind of 125, maybe 150. Yeah, it's going up. I've started going up to 120 wells. I know. But you know what? No one ever said anything about it.
Yeah.
But then I asked somebody like who I play with all the time, "What are you tipping these days?" He's like, "I've been 120 for like 2 years." I'm like, "Damn it."
Okay.
So anyway, it's going up. But then also like I played places where like it's an elite top 100, top 50 course, and they're like, it's $50. Like, don't tip more. You know, like, and there's like strict rules around how much the caddies can get paid. So this one, I appreciate that the club publishes this $175 for a loop. I think you get, I want to say they don't double bag it at Cypress.
They do not.
So everybody has their own caddy. Totally reasonable. $175 for that level of service. Absolutely worth it.
And last one, only players with a single-digit handicap may play the blue tees.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think this should be a thing at more courses just to speed up play and let people kind of experience the golf course. That's how it's meant to be played for their game. Cypress is plenty hard from any tee box for sure. And I love that they're just come out and say, hey, look, like don't hold up the course. If you don't have the game to play from the back tees, just play up. And by the way, that 16th hole is still going to be really tough from, you know, the white tees. It's still going to be 220 over the ocean into the dead of the wind. You still might be hitting driver, so you don't need to play that at 245.
Yeah. All right. You know, I really don't think anything on this list was egregious. I agree with all of it. I see someone said like extremely gracious shorts would be nice, but not a hill to die on. But if you know that you never would wear shorts there because it's always a chilly 60 degrees, it's fine.
Yeah, and I appreciate, you know, hats off to the club for like just being up front and publishing this. You know, it sort of answers all the questions you need to know. So,
yeah.
Love it.
Today, we are joined by a true legend. NFL MVP, Super Bowl quarterback, longtime broadcaster, and one of the most recognizable voices in all of sports, Boomer Esiason. Beyond the gridiron and the broadcast booth, Boomer's also passionate about golf and a driving force in the charity space, raising over $100 million through the Boomer Esiason Foundation. We're going to talk about his playing days, his love of the game, and how he brings that same competitive spirit from the football field to the fairways. Please welcome to the Vanity Index podcast, Boomer Esiason. How are you, buddy?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on, talk a little golf, talk a little bit of football, I guess, and everything else in between.
So I think we got to start with the fact that we dropped a video today where you and some friends took on the boys at Skratch in my hometown of Pebble Beach, and I just got to know. I saw the the initial video where you said you were going to cheat by saying the wrong numbers with the gun. I want to know how things went.
You know, things went really, really well. It was a great trip. And, we were talking about it on our show here in New York City, Boomer and Gio. And Gio, I got turned on to golf about 3.5 years ago, and he's become an ultimate psycho. And he basically was talking to me on the air about, taking a trip. He'd love to go see Pebble Beach. Now, I've been fortunate enough to play there about 10 times. And I said, I'd be more than happy to take you guys out there as kind of a year-end celebration if you want. So I started booking the trips. Next thing I know, I get a call from Skratch. They want to film it. They want to be a part of it. And I have to say that it was the best 2.5-day golf trip that I've ever taken. And I've taken 1 million of these golf trips. And one of the reasons for that is because Pebble Beach is just such a special place. And if you've played there before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But watching my guys, Greg Giannotti and Jerry Recco get a chance to play not only Pebble Beach but also Spanish Bay Links, it was just amazing watching their reactions and playing golf with them in those conditions at that very special place. So it was better than I could have ever imagined.
I think there's like nothing but, I mean, if anything can live up to Christmas morning, it's basically like Christmas morning at 10 years old. It's the pre-dawn warm-up at Pebble Beach, getting ready to play one of those golf courses. I saw you guys out there pre-dawn. There's nothing like seeing that course, as the sun comes up. So I was very jealous. Looks like you guys had a great time.
We did have a great time, and I was really impressed with Ian and Nicole, who we played against for Skratch. I didn't realize that Ian was as good as he was, and we were fortunate enough to take him. I don't want to give it all away, but I did get a few more strokes than I thought I was going to get, which turned out to be a blessing for me. And then, of course, Nicole was a 5 handicap, and just watching her slice and dice right down the middle of the fairway every time was a little intimidating for my partner, Gio, but he actually held his own. And, when you have a guy that has only been playing golf for 3.5 years, have his handicap inflated, if you will, and able to win a hole or two under those circumstances, I mean, you talk about memories and you talk about actually fulfillment. That's exactly what happened.
Speaking of memories, do you have a favorite hole at Pebble?
Well, it's number 7 for me, and I've always played number 7 well, and I played it well in the match this time too. I birdied it, but Nicole actually dropped I want to say a 40-foot birdie putt on me. I had about a 5-footer, so I was closest to the pin. So, this is the great thing about golf. You think that you got the hole, but you got to get the ball in the hole first. And Nicole dropped this 50-foot putt on us for birdie, so that made my 5-footer feel like it was a 20-footer. And of course, I made it, but nonetheless, here you thinking that you're going to win this hole and you're going to win the match. And lo and behold, all of a sudden somebody does something really special. But that's the greatness of golf. And I think feeling that feeling is what has always made me love the game, because when you get to my age, you need competition in your life. And even though it may just be a 10-10-20, Nassau bet or a match play game, whatever it may be, it's that competition that breeds me wanting to play even more.
So one of the, questions we always ask our guest is what is your current index these days?
I think I'm a 9.2 right now. So
in the single digits.
It's gone up. I'm a little bit older. So I'm 64 years old now. In my 50s, I got down to about a 4. But I don't play nearly as much as I used to. I'm only playing probably about 75 to 80 rounds a year. I used to play about 150 rounds a year, believe it or not. And, so my handicap has gone up a little bit, which I think has actually been pretty helpful for me.
I was going to say, we like that. We like a player, as a partner who's, maybe been a low single digit, but now is hovering around a 10. You can make a few putts, make a couple birdies. That's a good way to win some money. So how did you get started in golf? Did you play as a kid, or did you start, how'd you get into the game?
So I grew up on Long Island. So Long Island is maybe some of the greatest golf anywhere in the world. And as a kid, I couldn't afford to play golf. There was a golf course right around the corner from where I grew up, and would go down there and hit balls every now and again, but never really got into it. I didn't get into it until I got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, because what I found out was on Tuesdays, our day off in September, October, and November, if it was good weather, half the team was going to the golf course. And if you wanted to be with your teammates, that's where you had to go. And that's when I got the bug, I would say right around 23, 24 years of age. And then the next thing you know, you're traveling all around the country, you're traveling all around the world on these great golf trips, and you find out, just how social this game can be and how great it can be, especially when you have a group of friends that you appreciate traveling with, or whether or not your significant other can play golf and you can enjoy that round as well. So it was because I wanted to hang out with my teammates with the Cincinnati Bengals that I first fell in love with the game.
Speaking of golf in New York, it's Ryder Cup season, and I saw that you recently played Bethpage. You played the Black. How did it go?
Not great. It's hard. It's a really hard golf course. And they got it tightened up. They got the rough is deep. They're going to make this really tough. I heard that Keegan Bradley was trying to get them to shorten the rough a little bit, just simply because it's so penalizing. And it had been raining here the last couple of days, I guess. So I think that rough is going to be nice and thick for them when they get here in a couple of weeks. Bethpage Black is not for the average golfer. You have to be, I would say, probably a 5 or less if you really want to enjoy the golf course. It is a long walk. It's up a lot of hills. It's across a couple roads. There is just some long tee shots that you have to land in a very narrow area. A lot of sand bunkers all over the place, and some blind shots. So it's everything that the Ryder Cup is looking for, that the PGA is looking for. They want to make it tough, and I have a feeling that it is going to be rough from a fan standpoint too, meaning that the fans are going to be really rough on the players, especially the European ones.
I was going to say, probably better than anybody about New York sports fans.
Yeah.
I feel like,
oh, yes.
I was looking up, I was at the Ryder Cup in Rome, and it was my first, well, actually, it wasn't my first Ryder Cup. I went to Whistling Straits, but seeing a Ryder Cup in person, I always thought was the greatest golf experience because it brought a tribalism that you normally only see in football. So I'm a SEC guy. I went to Georgia. Wells went to Ole Miss. It was the closest thing to a rivalry SEC game that I've ever seen in golf. And what makes it, I think, even more interesting is it's kind of out of context. You're used to golf being this gentlemanly thing, the fans kind of being on their best behavior. And so to see a kind of SEC rivalry level of tribalism where you just hate the other team and you just want to see them burn, and to have that in golf, I think just makes it one of the greatest sporting events in the world. And to see that in New York and Long Island, these guys are not ready.
Anytime there's international competition in any sport, we saw it in the Four Nations. The NHL did that this year. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk basically blew out a groin and cost his team half the season, but he came back and won the Stanley Cup with them, of course. But anytime you get the international flavor, and in golf, a team flair. That's the thing here. This is all about teams and matchups, and Keegan's going to try to get the right matchups. Going here. And hopefully, what I'm hoping at least that it's close one way or the other. I don't want a blowout by the Europeans, certainly, because then I think they're really going to get heckled. Mm-hmm. But if it's close and it's tight, and come Sunday when the match is on the line, if you have Scottie Scheffler versus Rory McIlroy, or Bryson DeChambeau versus McIntyre, or somebody like that, where it comes down to that one round of golf or those 2 rounds of golf, I think to me that would be the ultimate for this year's Ryder Cup, because in Rome it felt so far away, it felt distant, and we got killed. And I think because Keegan is now the captain, I think there is a real emphasis on the patriotism. We all know what's going on here in the country with our president, and I'm sure he's probably going to be there. I think this thing is going to be insane, and the New York fans are going to just amplify all of that.
Yeah, we had Freddie Couples on the show a couple weeks ago, or did a video with Fred, and he was saying that winning a Ryder Cup point to him felt as important as winning a major, and he's won multiple majors. And he said, coming off, he sort of pushed. He kind of had a bad hole on the last hole and ended up pushing a match. He said he was inconsolable just for a tie, because how important it was and how much these guys aren't really used to playing for something bigger than just themselves. I mean, this is the ultimate individual sport, and now you got your team on your back. It is electric. I can't wait to be out there. We'll be out there. I'm sure you'll be out there. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be like throwing an interception for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, God.
There is nothing worse than that, and I luckily I didn't do that, but I could imagine that's exactly how Freddie felt. Mm-hmm. Having a match or losing a match in a situation like that, especially, if you're on your home turf and Bethpage is legendary, this will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest golf, I think, extravaganzas that we have ever seen.
I mean, and also it's all lining up for such a great showdown, right? I mean, you've got Scottie coming off another insane year, and then you've got Rory doing what he just did at the Irish Open, which was an electric finish to drain a 40-foot eagle putt to get into a playoff to win. As the sports analyst, who do you think's going to win? What's going to happen here?
Well, the Americans better win. The other thing, too, if I were Keegan Bradley, I would take Rory's chirping after winning the Irish Open when he was talking about the Walker Cup and he wanted the kids from the British Isles and Ireland and Great Britain to beat the Americans, because he basically said it's going to be great beating the Americans at Bethpage. I mean, he said that. So what I'm doing as a former team player, I'm thinking about, let's get that headline, let's get that quote, and let's have that in the locker room. And I want all my players to see what Rory said about beating the Americans at Bethpage on their home turf. So it's going to be great. This is why I think Keegan was so hurt by not being picked 2 years ago, because he knows what it's like to be on a team and want to be a part of a team, especially representing your country. I think it's going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and I know we have the Olympics in a couple of years, but this is going to be one of the biggest events in the history of the state of New York for sure. And I would also say the significance that is attached to it, because of where we are in the world today, is going to be paramount to the Americans better win.
Yeah.
God, I can't wait. I'm so pumped.
The stakes just got a little bit higher.
And it's at the People's Country Club too.
Yeah.
To go back to Bethpage for a second. I used to live in New York City when I was in my early 20s, and I was kind of like you, Boomer. I couldn't afford a private club, so I used to get my bag, lived in the city. I'd get on the LIRR and take the train out to Ronkonkoma and get a cab and go play at Bethpage. And that course is so hard. And I've been a decent player, sort of single digit player. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, that whole course is almost 100 years old now. And to imagine laying that out, Tillinghast must have been on one at that point. Cause it's imagine playing that course with those old clubs. It is so brutal. It is so up. There's so many elevated shots and it's a beast. So yeah, no, these guys they're gonna have a fight on their hands. But obviously Keegan I've been close with Keegan for several years now, and we obviously got a chance to kind of tell his story on Full Swing in season 2 when he didn't make didn't get his pick, and I think him showing who he was and the integrity both as an athlete, as a sportsman, as a kind of leader and team player. I think I'm so happy for him that he's in this position, and I think he made the right choice not picking himself. I wanted him to choose himself because I thought it would be just epic for a show and for storytelling. But for being the captain, I think he made the right choice, kind of putting the team first. And yeah, I just can't wait to see.
Well, think about it. The only guy to ever do that was Arnold Palmer, I believe, was the only other captain that actually played. And things have changed so much. The pressure is so intense, and like I said, I thought he was hurt 2 years ago when they did the whole click thing within the PGA Tour, which I hated, and we all wanted Keegan to be on that team. I don't think he did that this time around. I think what he did this time around was really give other players an opportunity, and one of the key players that he picked, and I didn't think he was going to pick him, was Cameron Young. And Cameron grew up here in the greater New York area. I actually thought he might have also taken Goddard because Goddard's from New Jersey. And those guys would have been like hometown heroes here in New York. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Cam Young can do here, because I think he's going to be loved by the New York crowd. And I think it was a smart pick by Keegan. He's not a stupid guy at all. He understands the Northeast. He's from here. So I think that, him doing the unselfish thing, being the captain, bringing along Cameron Young, who's a local player, I thought that was a brilliant pick.
Cam Young from the mean streets of the Bronx.
Yes.
They're at Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Real
tough sledding up there. But yeah, no, I totally agree. And I love Goddard's game too. I think he peaked a little early at the Scottish. I think, if he'd gone on a run in the playoffs, I think he could have seen him on that team. But I think Cam Young is an awesome pick. I think Keegan as a Northeasterner is going to have the fans rallying behind him. Just can't wait to see it. It's going to be epic.
What do you think is going to be the deciding factor? I mean, the Americans famously are long ball hitters, right? And then the Europeans are kind of like surgical with their irons and really good in foursomes, right? So, what do you think the deciding factor is going to be for this Ryder Cup?
To me, is accuracy because of the golf course, and this is one of the reasons why I think that Keegan Bradley is going to want to have that rough a little bit shorter than it is right now than when I played it about a month ago. When I played it a month ago, and I pretty much was in the rough every single freaking hole, I could barely get my club through it. And, I'm a 64-year-old, 6'5", 245-pound ex-athlete, and I can pretty much handle any golf course. Not saying that I would shoot great, but getting through that rough was at least a stroke and a half for me, sometimes 2 strokes, because sometimes you couldn't even see the golf ball. So to me, it's going to be accuracy, and maybe that's where the Europeans do have a little bit of I guess an advantage, because these fairways are going to be narrow. That rough is going to be really, really deep. And if you're in that rough and you got to hit to a upward tee green, which is there are quite a few of, and it's a blind shot, good luck getting it close. So especially when it's alternate shot, I'd hate to put my teammate in that kind of situation.
Well, one last Ryder Cup question for you. This is more about leadership. So, Europe famously, they get out for the Ryder Cup. They have this culture for all the European players. They've had it for a long time, where they really are kind of selfless and they play as a team really, really well. And whatever it is, it's that just kindred spirit of being from Europe, even though pretty much all of them live in Florida now. It's just this energy. And I think that the U.S. team over the past few years has been knocked for being more individualistic, and you've got these big personalities on both sides, but the USA team historically has had a harder time kind of coming together. So if you've been in many a locker room in a team sport, if you're giving advice to Captain Keegan, how do you get the team not just motivated to win, which obviously they will be, it's their reputation on the line, but how do you get them to gel and come together as a team? And what makes it different to be on a winning team or a team that's just full of a bunch of really great superstars? I'm sure you've seen both in your experience playing in the NFL.
I have. My only advice for Keegan would be put that Rory quote up there and make sure that your guys are seeing that quote right there, because that's a slap in the face. That's what I call touching the money in any sport. You never touch the money. You respect the game. You respect your opponent. If you win, you shake their hands. You act like you've been there before. If you lose, you shake their hands. You comment on how great they played, and you take ownership of yourself and maybe how poorly you played. That's the team aspect of everything, where you have to find the unselfish nature of it. I would also obviously be pushing the patriotic part of it, and making sure that they understand that they're playing for something bigger than themselves. Just like Freddie Couples told you guys, he was right on the money. The interesting thing about this whole Ryder Cup, who made this into what it is today, is Jack Nicklaus, because Jack Nicklaus knew that there weren't enough great golfers just to represent Great Britain and the British Isles, that he had to open it up to Europe in order to make it more competitive. And certainly that's exactly what has happened since Jack Nicklaus thought that way back in the 70s. So it has turned into a major event, and as Keegan Bradley will probably do, he will harp on, we're here representing the American golfer, our flag, everything our country stands for. And because of what happened in Rome 2 years ago, guys, we have to come together as a team, play as a team, and be smart and be unselfish and be the best of ourselves.
Let's switch gears into your golf game and playing golf with other athletes. I don't like to be a victim of the moment, but it seems like golf is on this kind of crazy weird trajectory where every celebrity seems to be playing it. Every athlete, every musician, every actor is out on the golf course. Have you seen, as someone who's played golf and probably played golf with a lot of celebrities over your entire lifespan, do you think it's gotten much more popular, or is it all the same? We just have cell phones and TikTok and Instagram, and we're all seeing it so much.
Yeah, I think the YouTube influencers have really brought it to the forefront, to the mainstream. Since I've been playing now for about 34 years or 35 years, I have played with a lot of celebrities. I played with the Michael Jordans, the Charles Barkleys. I've played with all the great quarterbacks of my era. We used to have golf tournaments. Yeah, believe it or not, we talk about charity and everything. We've raised hundreds of millions of dollars through golf charities. And there was a point in time when I was in my career, from probably 1987 to 1997, a 10-year period, where 15 of us had off-season golf tournaments, and the wives were finally saying, enough already. So I've seen it, but what I now have seen is the YouTube influence on golf, the social media influence on golf. The Bob Does Sports, that kind of stuff, all the guys at Barstool that are playing. I mean, that is what has brought it to the younger generation. Guys like me can talk about it, and I brought it to Gio because I was the one that actually told him 3.5 years ago, you got to get into something physical. You got to go out and do something. You got to compete. You got to play at something that you're not good at. And after his first round of golf at West Sayville Golf Course, which is a a Muni course here in Long Island. He fell in love with it. And 3.5 years later, he's breaking 100 and he's getting close to breaking 90 now. So I think a lot has transpired over social media that has been great for the sport. And the other thing about playing with friends is that you can go on great golf trips. And you can go for 3.5, 4 days. And I've done all the trips to Ireland and Scotland, California. I haven't been to Australia yet. I haven't been to New Zealand yet. I'd like to go there. I've been to Hawaii. I've been down in Florida. I've played probably out of the top 100 golf courses, at least 90 of them. So I've been very fortunate to be around, see golf as it really was truly meant to be. And I've made great friendships over the years through the game of golf, which I'll never forget, and great memories too.
Where do you play your golf in Long Island?
So I belong to two golf clubs. One is Atlantic out in Bridgehampton. So it's one of the 5 big ones out there with Maidstone, Sabonic, National, and Shinnecock. And I also belong to a place, Garden City in Long Island, which has been around since 1899. So great links golf courses. We have some of the great golf courses here in Long Island. And I always say the eastern end of Long Island, there's about 35 golf courses out there that aren't part of the big 5, that are great golf courses in their own right, and memories that when you walk off a golf course, you'll say, man, I remember that place.
This podcast really is kind of like the intersection between Hollywood and golf. And you mentioned earlier you've kind of played with everyone, Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan. So we like to see if we can get stories from our guests about those ridiculous rounds that you've played with, superstar celebrities. Is there one that comes to mind?
Well, first of all, I kind of own this guy by the name of Wally Szczerbiak. He's a former NFL, NBA basketball player. He does Nick games now for MSG, and he's a great golfer himself. And by the way, he probably plays, I would say conservatively, 175 to 210 times a year.
Jeez.
He plays in the wintertime here in New York when the weather is reasonably decent. And, I have what I call Wally Cash. I basically own him. He's 20 years younger than me. And he's probably a 5 handicap right now, so I usually get a few strokes off of him. And he and I were up at Cabot up in Nova Scotia. And probably our favorite place on planet Earth is the Cabot Cliffs, the Core Crenshaw golf course up there. It is an amazing, amazing place. 6 par 5, 6 par 4, 6 par 3s. We were playing for some pretty heavy duty money. And all I can tell you is that after I basically just whistled a 4-iron 225 yards onto a par 3. He looked at me and he said, why am I giving you effing strokes? And I said, so I can win effing money. That's why. So that, and by the way, I play with hockey players. We're going to be playing with Jordan Davis here shortly. We've played with him a couple times. All the guys love the competition and the camaraderie that golf brings us each and every time we go and play.
Yeah, it's got to feel a little different for you guys who were at the top of your game, but still getting to feel those creative juices flowing once again. Yeah. You said you were talking about going to Cabot and favorite places. We love Guys Trip Boondoggle. Shit show here at the Vanity Index podcast. What is some of your favorite places to go play golf with the boys?
All right, so Cabot is my number one favorite place. I love going to Northern Ireland, Belfast, because I love Royal Portrush and Royal County Down. That's another great place. And that Merchant Hotel, that backside of that Merchant Hotel turns into nothing but a party on the weekends. It's absolutely awesome. I love Bandon Dunes. I've been to Sand Valley last year. Would love that too as well. The Cabot people really know how to do it. They do some great trips. And the one best trip I ever had is we were going on one of these financial junkets out of Wall Street, and there were 40 guys on the plane. And I asked Dan Marino and Vinny Testaverde if they would like to go with me with these other 37 masters of the universe, if you will. And we were going to go to Scotland, and we were going to stay at Skibo Castle. We were going to play Nairn and Royal Dornoch and all that. And I said, guys, look, I know you're used to getting paid money to go on trips like this. I'm not paying you. I just want you to come for free and be a part of it. And I convinced them that they should go. So we get there, we land, they bring us right to Skibo Castle. We got to get changed immediately, and because we're getting ready to play a round of golf the day that we land there. There are 8 helicopters outside of Skibo Castle. 4 went east, 4 went west, and then we passed each other when we went to go play the other golf courses that the other guys just played. And then we came back and we had this great dinner in this ginormous, I guess, a ballroom. And there were 40 of us and we were all in kilts. And then like we played the next day. And then the next night we were on the plane back home because everybody was, obviously billionaires and they all had to go make money. But that was probably one of the most memorable trips that I've ever taken.
Did you have to do a kilt fitting? How did you, do you have a kilt in the closet? Did you get to keep it?
I don't have a kilt in the closet, but when I got into my hotel room, there was a kilt, there was a shirt, there was the whole way to dress and wear correctly, the socks, the shoes. I do have a picture. Maybe I could send it to you guys, but I do have a picture of me, Vinny, and Danny in those quilts. I mean, we look awesome, actually.
I bet you do. I can't imagine you guys in a kilt. That's incredible.
Yeah. Are you wearing underwear in that situation, or are you just free balling?
Listen, Chad, I was free balling. I don't know about the other guys. I can't speak for them, but man, I figured why not?
That's right. Get a little breeze going.
We like to we like to do a little game here called Golf Bags of the Rich and Famous. We want to know what you're gaming. What are you playing right now? What's working? What's not?
Okay, so I have PXG irons. They're great. I got them fitted through TrueSpec. Love my PXG irons. I'm driving with PXG driver right now. I have a Bertha 3 hybrid. My wedges are all Cleveland wedges with the exception of my 60 degree, which is a Phil Mickelson big head Callaway wedge. Mm-hmm. And I love that wedge when I'm coming out of the bunker close to the green because I could just blast underneath it, and I very rarely ever miss hit it when I need to just pop it up and knock it onto the green.
Love that.
We're running out of time with you, but we usually like to do a rapid fire question to end the interview. Are you ready for a rapid fire question session?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Rapid fire questions on the Vanity Index podcast with Boomer Esiason. Current handicap?
9.2.
Walk or ride?
I'm a walk.
Biggest golf pet peeve?
Slow play.
Favorite course you've ever played?
Royal Portrush and Cabot Cliffs.
One course you haven't played yet, but you want to?
Marion.
Dream foursome, alive or dead?
Oh boy, oh man, dream foursome. It's got to be 4 lefties. So I'm going to say me, Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, and God, who's the other lefty?
Mike Weir.
Man, I need Matt Weir.
We had Mike Weir on the show.
Yes, I'll take
a shout out to Mike Weir.
Rafa Nadal.
Yeah.
Rafa Nadal, yes.
Current favorite swing thought?
My current favorite swing thought is keep your head down and in the cylinder. So Jim McLean taught me to keep my head still in the cylinder, and I always have to remind myself that, especially when I'm driving.
Most embarrassing golf moment that you can recall?
I was playing in Dan Marino's golf outing up in Pittsburgh. He had it up in Pittsburgh at the Field Club. And he had a equipment manager by the name of Bobby Monica. And Bobby Monica was playing in a foursome on the other side of a big group of trees. He was on a different hole. And he hit a ball. And as I was addressing my ball and ready to swing, his ball hit between my legs and hit me right in the balls. And I was on the ground in pain. And that jackass came running up to me going, "Did I hit you in the balls? Did I hit you in the balls?" And I said, "Yes, you hit me in the balls." So yeah, that was probably, I want to say, around 1993 or 94.
Wow. Well, at least you weren't wearing the kilt, I suppose, right?
Wouldn't be much padding there.
Thank God.
Who do you wish you could hit the ball like?
Oh boy, I wish I could hit the ball like Colin Morikawa.
That's a good
He's a
one.
flusher.
I think he's like one of the smoothest guys I've ever seen. And maybe one of the smoothest guys I've ever played with is a guy by the name of Justin Williams, the hockey player who won 3 Stanley Cups, and he lives down in Carolina. He was a great golfer. Went on a trip with him up to Cabot, and he looked and swung his club like Colin Morikawa. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I said, he should be on the PGA Tour.
It's awesome.
Favorite club in the bag?
My favorite club in the bag is my gap wedge. I love being about 100 to 110 yards out. I feel comfortable with it in my hand, and normally I'm within 10 feet if I'm playing well.
Ooh, least favorite club in the bag?
I would say it's my 5-iron. I'm a little bit erratic with it, and I hit it high and left as a lefty. That's not the ball flight you want. I've tried to work on it over and over and over again, and oddly enough, I hit my 4-iron really pure. For some reason, my 5-iron goes a little haywire on me.
This is Wells's theory of getting into 9-wood now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, God.
Don't shame me either. All right, listen.
I'm not doing that.
It goes up high, it lands soft. I don't care what it looks like out there. No pictures on the
Although
scorecard.
I will tell you that Wally Zerbiak has his favorite club, and it's a 5-wood that he got out of Dustin Johnson's bag somehow.
Yeah.
And it's all he talks about, this 5-wood. I got it from Dustin Johnson. I'm like, oh, man, just make me throw up. Just keep hitting that 5-wood and giving me money. I'm happy.
Yeah. Wally Cash is funny.
Yes.
Have you ever had a hole-in-one?
I've had 1 hole-in-one at number 11 at Atlantic, and it was my first day as an official member at Atlantic. I was playing with my son and a couple buddies, and the caddies and all the guys that were working on that hole that day all gave me high fives. The good news was the club was empty that day, so I didn't have to buy too many drinks.
Smart.
the first time that Wells got a hole-in-one was when he was in the process joining our club and was being hosted by yours truly, and he made a hole-in-one in front of a bunch of people on probably the busiest day at the club for the year. So.
How much did it cost you, Wells?
Well, it cost Chad a lot more money than me because they wouldn't accept my credit card because I wasn't a member yet.
Oh, okay.
It was all worth it.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Going back to that, what was the yardage? What was the club? What was the wind doing? What was the bet
All
like?
right. So for people who have ever played Atlantic, number 11 is a short par 3, and the whole green tilts to the left, and the wind is normally coming out of the south, so you're hitting into the wind. About 125 to 140 yard shot, depending on which way the wind is. And I used a sand wedge. I used my 52 on that particular hole, and it was 1 bounce and right in the hole.
Well done.
So awesome.
All right. Best score you've ever shot?
At Huntington Crescent Club in 1994-72.
I love it. The year and everything.
Love it.
And lastly, what's one word to describe your game?
Erratic.
All right. Boomer Esiason, thank you so much for coming on the Vanity Index podcast. This has been a lot of fun. Is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about or promote?
No, we're good, man. I appreciate the time, Chad and Wells, and it was really fun talking to you guys.
Awesome. Thanks again, Boomer. And everybody tune in to the match between Skratch and Boomer and Gio.
Yeah.
It should be live on the internet by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah, we'll put a link on the podcast thing. It's over on YouTube, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, Boomer. Thank you so much.
Let's see who stepped up in that.
There we
round.
go. I have an idea. I think I have an idea. All right, Boomer. Thanks again, my man. We'll see you out at Bethpage during the Ryder Cup week, my friend.
All right, sounds good, guys. Nice to see you,
buddy.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of like every episode we have a guest on, and I'm like, I think we could probably talk to them about golf for another hour and a half.
It just the golf just gets people, man. They
Yeah.
get the bug. I mean, he got it 94. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Playing golf with all these other quarterbacks. I should have asked him who's the best quarterback golfer. That would have been.
Yeah.
We'll save that for the next time.
Next time. I have a feeling that he does not have a vanity index. I have a feeling he is a little bit of a sandbagger, talking about taking money, being like, oh, I'm like a 9, but I can get it. I'm 6'5". I can get it around. I'm like, oh, Boomer's a stick.
Yeah, inside a 10 with his gap wedge, 10 feet. Yeah,
That's not a 9
That's
handicap.
not a 9 handicap.
All right, beware if you're on the course with Boomer Esiason. He might be taking your money. Really fun episode. And everyone, go watch the match with Skratch over on the YouTube. We'll link it in the bio. And we'll see all you golf sickos next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Later.